another episode of From the Shadows, and as always guys, if you are enjoying the series, please do drop a like on the video. Now, in our last episode, we were beaten at home by Metz, and it was fucking terrible. The fact that they hadn't won a single game before that, and then they beat us 1-0 at home, of all places, was just shocking. And it's kind of sent us into a bit of a spiral, if I'm honest. Like, we hadn't won for a couple of league games before that, but it really did not do us any good, basically. We've really sort of struggled over the last few matches. And the fact that the contracts come around, and a lot of players were basically saying, you know, either give me a new contract or I'm signing with another team, and I couldn't afford to do that. And unfortunately, it meant that we had to spend a load of money. And at one point, we were £8,000 a week in the red because we had to give players contracts. Now, I've managed to move on Richard Sokrier and Ojan Bai to get them both off the wage bill, basically, because let's face it, that's quite important just to get those two out the way, because they were taking up a lot of wages. So we've managed to get it back down to just being ever so slightly in the red, so at least that's good. But people like Antelek wanted a raise of like £3,000 a week, and that was the minimum I could try and get him onto. But he's been so important for us this year, I couldn't afford to risk losing him, basically. So we've had to wheel and deal a little bit and move some players around, unfortunately. But that's just one of those things that's happened. So let's just jump straight in. Basically, first things first, away from home against Troyes, and I just couldn't have asked for a worse start to this match. I genuinely... Henry Bienvenu gave them the lead inside the first minute of the match, and then things just went from bad to worse, as both Antelek and Didat both went out injured, and both have missed several matches this month as a result of that, just making our day worse and worse. And then, of course, we actually got on back through Hakim Jabali after he'd come off the bench to replace Antelek, but unfortunately, Nive and then, of course, Jimmy Cabo gave them the win. They had some injuries as well, but it was such a shame. And, of course, they did miss matches, and that's been a bad thing for us, of course. Next up, we had a cup game where a chance to get some sort of quality back, and it was against Vendée-Luchon, and we did the business, basically. It was a simple win, one that we needed, a penalty first from Elvis, and then 2 goals from Hakim Jabali. At least he's getting a few goals in the absence of Antelek. The other thing about the game falling where it did is it meant that they didn't miss quite as many as they could have done with the injuries, in fact. So that was at least something slightly good, and it pushed us through into the 10th round, so we'd achieved our objectives, which was quite important, basically, because I wanted to make sure that at least we'd have achieved that objective. In the next match, of course, we had a friendly, which was a 1-1 draw. So we don't... Oh no, what we're talking about. Next up, we were at home to Lorient, and unfortunately, it was always going to be a difficult game against top of the table Lorient, who are flying still. And Gabriel Aubertin scored the only goal of the match. Unfortunately, we just weren't quite able to get enough goals. We weren't able to get enough on target. We just couldn't really break them down very much, and unfortunately the worst time to play the best team, basically, it just compounded our misery a little bit. We've had some tough games, but you know, the result against Metz was poor. The one against Troyes was a little bit like, well, okay, it's an away game, it's a tough one, but then having this to come straight afterwards means you lose back-to-back home games in quite annoying circumstances. So it's perhaps the run isn't as bad as it looks, but it's still worrying, because then we had a friendly, of course, but then we went to Colmar and unfortunately lost, I think, our 4th match in a row, and it was a little bit unlucky. I think it was a pretty even match, but we just weren't able to find the net. Yusuf Toure gave them 2 goals, one either side of half-time, essentially. But it took us until the 90th minute and Mehdi Jean from a corner to get anything, and we really are scrapping at the moment, and we ended up having a team meeting after that, and the players sort of responded quite well, and then we went out in our next match, which was obviously the cup game, and we got drawn against a 4th-tier team in the 10th round, which was delightful, against Stade Planbenecois. And yeah, a 3-0 win, as you would expect, a relatively comfortable performance. Antelek was obviously back this time around, which was nice, scoring in stoppage time to give us the lead before Boilion and Johan and Villa's quick goals gave us a 3-0 victory, and then we were able to sort of basically yank anyone that was sort of important off to make sure they didn't get injured, essentially, for the remainder of the game. Bringing it to today, and this is going to be an incredibly tough one. Now, let's just show you how the league's shaping up. We're now 15th in the league, which is insane in a way, and obviously a win could move us up as high as 11th again and right back into the battle. It's a good run in this league can see you climb massively, and that's kind of what we're trying to aim for, because at the moment we're actually now only 4 points above the relegation zone. It's crazy. We do, however, have a game in hand on these teams, which is quite important, so the position is a little bit false. We can actually leapfrog over Dijon with a win today, but we need to win a game. We've been really poor lately, and we need to step it up a notch. Metz, as you can see, have won a couple more matches and got themselves kind of back into the fight a little bit. That win against us seemed to galvanise them, and the new manager's done a fantastic job, but it came at a bad time for us. It really did, and we've kind of been in freefall ever since then. We really do need to step it up a notch, and I'm hoping we can try to get away with that. Well, not get away, get that done today. So let's take a gander at the squad. Top goal scorer is Antelek with 10 in 20, which is 1 in 2, and I'm happy with that. But we could do with some goals from elsewhere in this system. You know, we need some of these these players to be... We're getting plenty of them, but none of them have been consistent enough, and that's the issue. As for assists, Johan Villa now starting to stand out a little bit more now with 6. He's had a good month. Player of the match, nobody's really standing out for that one just yet. Average rating, Boilion is still the tip of the top there. As for aerial challenges, 79 for Puyol. Passes, Quentin Pereira with 83. He's got to be right up there in this division still. Medellin with 10, and interceptions, 275. Let me just see what he's doing. What he's like in terms of his key passes. Look at that. He's still got the best key pass number in this division, and that's important for us because we really do need to keep that going. Right, so let's go today. I'm hoping for a bit of a response. You know, we've had a poor run lately. Oh, that's an interesting system. This could be they're using a lot of width, but I just wonder. This could be an interesting game. We've had a poor run lately, and the last thing we need is another defeat because we've been really just so bad. So let's see what we've got available to us. I'm just going to check the bench. I don't want 2 centre-backs on the bench. That's sort of my immediate. Johan Villa, we'll get him in for... Bohi, yeah. Okay, so we're going to go with Antelek, Didats, Pereira, Gamiet, Gape, Puyol, Boilion, Oban, Masavu King, Cantini, and of course Sieglist, who's doing a fantastic job in goal, and he really has, for me anyway, developed very, very nicely. In fact, wow, 5-star potential now. I will take that to the bank. Some of you guys have said that this guy is a proper good keeper, so I'm really quite glad we've managed to get a hold of him. I've managed to extend his contract as well by 4 years. It's cost us a bit, but I think that might be able to at least give us some, slightly longer contracts on some of these players. Means we could probably sell them for quite a lot more if we have to, basically. So that's sort of the plan on players like that. So Antelek again is another one on that sort of, he's now on £3,000 a week instead of 800, but he's now worth £700,000 as a result of those changes. So I think in the summer, if we very much need to, we can obviously move on a couple of these players and try to bring in some more, but I'd like to not do that. Anyway, let's get going, because this is so important for us to actually get a bloody win. We were winning a few games. I had a good little run, but wow, they're the favourites. But I suppose that's mainly down to our form. They've got a poor away record. I don't know. I worry a little bit about that system they're playing. I just wonder if that's going to be the death of us. I don't know. I just want to see something good from us today. As you can see, the morale is now nice. That's as a result of the team meeting, of course, as well as going through to the Cup. And we've been drawn against Guignon in the next round of the Cup, so that's going to be a really tough game. I'm tempted to do it as a live comp, but it's fallen quite close to this match, so I'm not entirely sure whether that's going to be doable or not, really, because it's taken me a long time to do this episode because of the sheer amount of games that have been involved in it, essentially. I want a win here. I'm not bothered about draws. This is a game we need to win. How have we not won the ball there? I don't even know how we've not won the ball. Andrew, oh god. Oh wow, off the crossbar. 4 players around him there. It's a great hit, but we need to do better than that. We really have looked a little bit off the pace lately, and I'm not entirely sure why, considering the injuries have actually been relatively... Oh right, apart from that one game where we lost Antelech and Didats, but it's been relatively okay. So far, possession-wise, we're doing great. Pass completion-wise, we're doing great, but... we just seem to lack a cutting edge at the moment. Antelek needs to score again, I think, to get his confidence back, I suppose. Boilion now with the free kick. Out wide to Pereira, make a run somebody. Dominic Gape now. Out wide. He's going to get it back here. Gape round the corner. Goal! Dominic Gape, of all people. Paris FC won. First ever goal for Paris FC, and what a moment that is for the youngster. And that is an absolutely huge goal for our season. A win here just eases the pressure on in a way, because the board will probably get pissed otherwise. So as you can see, it could move us all the way up as far as... Wow, what a finish that is from Dominic Gape. Could move us up to 11th place, which is a far more comfortable looking scoreline. I mean, to be fair, 28 points from 22 matches is actually fairly good for our first season in this league. It's just some of the teams down at the bottom are actually on like a point a game and in the relegation zone, and that's a lot. So we could end up looking at some quite high points tallies potentially still going down. But we are winning the game, and that's so important. Dominic Gape, of all people, making that run beyond. He's sort of done what Yanam Villa was doing quite a lot for us last season, and a little bit this season too. So we're looking a little bit better now. But they are still going to... Right, we're going to make some changes. Whoa. Sorry, my spacebar spazzed out a little bit there. Let's see. Elvis Saric. I'm going to bring him on for Pereira because he's an attacking time midfielder. And I'm going to bring on Villa for Gamiet, because they're looking a bit knackered at the moment. And probably the final sub might have to be Jabali, because we don't have any... One area we do need to try and look at some point is strengthening in the fullback parts, because that is a serious problem for us. We're looking fairly decent, actually, at this point, but we do know how dangerous it is in these situations if we let them. All right, they've got an injury now. That's fine by me. Let's let them keep doing that. We don't need to do a direct approach. We're doing just fine. And yeah, we'll make our final change now, I think. Oh, God, should we? No, I don't want to get Antelek injured. He's not had the best. Well, he's been okay. But we're going to get Jabali on. He's actually quite good for a late goal, usually, Hakim Jabali. Even if we win this 1-0, I will take it. Oh, here we go. And it'd be... I think that's our first LiveCon win of the season as well. It's been coming for a while, and we've actually not played anywhere near as well in this game as we have in some of the other LiveCons. But, hey, I'll take it. If we win this 1-0, that would be the perfect... it's been a pretty poor game for the most part, but Dominic Gape's goal could be the difference here and gets us back onto form, hopefully. Or you'd like to think so. Is that Morgan Amalfitano? Boalion does well, and that should be enough to get us across the line. It is Paris FC 1, Dijon FC 0. That's a huge win. I think we do need to address something. I really don't like that. Like, why have that as an option? So there we go. We've moved up quite a few places now. Although, really, we're actually back to where we were before. It's just the other teams playing and obviously moved us further down the league. Amiens have still got a game in hand, though, so there still could be... Well, they wouldn't be able to catch us with that. But the other teams that have come up with us, as you can see, Colmar are doing all right. They've got level on points with us. And, of course, Amiens are struggling a little bit. Metz are still quite a long way off the pace. They're still 7 points from safety. But it's a lot better than the situation they did find themselves in before, basically. So that is also a slight option for them as well. So, as for the next episode, right, basically I was going to try and do the Avignon-Guignon game, but unfortunately it's too close. And we're away, and I just think that we're probably going to get battered because they're a good side, and there's only 2 games in between. I'd rather carry the progress on a little bit more. So I'm tempted to do the Nancy game. It's going to be a tough one against a really tough opponent, so I'd like to sort of test ourselves in a game, and I think maybe doing one against Nancy, since we're sort of battling around mid-table, we're not really sure on where we are at the moment. I'm just sort of picking games at random as they fall with decent gaps between them, essentially. That's all I'm trying to do. So, I'm thinking Nancy. Let's do Nancy. So, guys, wow, this episode feels ridiculously short, and I do apologise for that. It's just sometimes the games and the flow don't always work very well. Sometimes you ended up in like 22-minute episodes, and sometimes you end up with like usually around 15 minutes, but this one's still only sort of 12 minutes long, so I'm just trying to think if there's anything we can do. I could show you guys a little bit of the squad and how they're developing, just to sort of keep things a little bit so it's not super short. So Puyol, of course, has signed a new deal, and he's now our highest paid player, but he's young enough for me that he could still be worthwhile for us for a couple more seasons, and that's kind of why I was interested. Elvis Saric, of course, has still got a lot of well, he's not got much room to grow, but he's got some brilliant abilities, and he will probably get more game time towards the end of this season. Siegrist, of course, we already showed you, and he's doing well. But Boye Traore, I'm just wondering, I'm thinking he might move on at the end of the season. He's not managed to get into our team much this year, and he's on a lot of money, basically. Ikpo is one for the future, and he's getting there a little bit, but he does need some game time, and I might try. The thing is, I can't loan him because he's not a full contract player. So in the summer, if we get a little bit of extra money, I'll get him on a contract so I can loan him out. Antelek, of course, is just a great player. I really, really do like this lad. Jason Boalion, of course, 5-star player. I really want to bring him in. He's only on tiny wages as well. He's fantastic. So he looks weirdly like a sort of French blonde Ryan Reynolds. I don't know. For some reason he reminded me of Ryan Reynolds, and I can't think why. Who else we got? Cantini, of course, our other fullback, who I've also given a new deal to, but only an extension of to take him through to 2018. Joris Correa, he's never really got into the team yet, but he's certainly it's because he's a wide man, and I'm wondering if maybe moving him on at some point, although he is quality, wouldn't be such a bad idea, or maybe just giving him a 1-year deal and then selling him. Koulibaly, again, he's not even on a proper contract with us, so we may have to look at getting him a contract, maybe just so we can move him on. Didac, of course, is just a phenomenal player, and he's had a pretty decent season. It's been disrupted slightly by injuries at times, which has been a sad point. Ekshogui hasn't played as much because of his injuries, which is a shame. And he may well be on his way at the end of the season. He's an absolute legend for us last year, but he's just not been able to break into the team this year, and he's on a lot of money. Gamiet, again, I had to give him a new deal too, because for me, he's hugely integral to the way we play, so I had to give him a new one. And Dominic Gape, he looks like he's going to be fantastic for us, and he's got a decent length deal as well. He's still on all right money, and I might have to extend his contract next year. Leo Helouin, apparently he's good to be good, but he's not even on a contract with us, and he is complaining a little bit. Idris Ikabane, again, is sort of the same kind of thing. Decent potential, but again, might have to look at getting him on a proper contract. Medellin probably will leave at the end of this year. I think I only gave him a 1-year deal. Yeah, I did. Hakim Jabali isn't even on a deal either, and he's not a bad player either. Again, have to look at all this stuff. Aboubakari Kante is on a deal, but it's expiring this summer, and I might well have to extend that if I can, although I don't think he wants to talk to us. Tikoro Keita is a similar type of player, but I don't know. Like, he's good, but he doesn't play in the positions that we use in this system, and that's an issue for me. Hervlibo, he again will probably move on, so we might have to look for some more defenders in the summer. And of course, Mermelo is our goalkeeper, and he doesn't really do a great deal. Musavu King, I have given him a new deal, and I think that's worthwhile because he looks like he's got quite a bit of development to do. Johan Mvia, really, really pleased with him. Obviously, he's on a proper contract now. Oban is kind of the same sort of situation as King, and of course, Wazin will probably move on at the end of the year. Quinton Pereira, we've got quite a lot of players. Quinton Pereira is another really solid player. This is Dennis Will Poha. He's coming on loan from Stade Rennes, but I don't know, like, he's never going to get in the team, unfortunately. So there we go, guys. If you like what you're seeing, please do drop a like on the episode, and if you'd like it even more than that, please subscribe to my channel for more Outcaster icons and From the Shadows in your inbox every single day at 5:30 and 8 o'clock. And I will join you guys in the next episode for a home match against Nancy, where hopefully we can try to build on this, you know, win against Dijon and get a couple more wins. We've got Valenciennes, we've got Nantes, we've got Sochaux to come. So we've got some okay, potentially winnable games in there. Hopefully we can pick up some points and sort of solidify ourselves in sort of 11th place. Anyway, guys, I'll see you guys soon. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.